Hey, what's up? We are Lost Kings.
And we're hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
Finally hanging out with Lost Kings. I've been trying to get with you guys for the better part of 2017, and it seems like you guys were busy all year.
Yeah, we've been swamped. It's just been like a progressively getting busier and busier, which is a good thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's been a good year so far.
Now that we're kicking off 2019, the EP is out now. It was basically a surprise for the fans. Yeah. Talk to me about Paper Crowns and how it was being able to keep this such like under wraps.
Yeah, we've been working on it most of this year amidst like all the other stuff that's been going on, and we've done, I think, a pretty good job of keeping it under wraps. It's been a lot of loose ends trying to tie up like who's on it, like who, the features and everything. It's like such a process sometimes getting that done. Right. But the records we've been working on all year, and we've just been like dying to put these out. Like our friends have heard them, families heard them. It's like we're all ready. So yeah, it's been like he was saying earlier, I mean, like we've had like this busier and busier year as it's gotten. I feel like this last couple months has been the busiest that we've had because we're coming right, we're out the gate. It's new year, new EP, new tour. So like we had to get everything geared up before the year was out to really come out the gate firing on all cylinders. So like we're like ready. We're ready. So excited.
Now listening to this EP, first of all, the first thing that caught my attention was I think this is the first time you guys have worked or collaborated with a rapper. Is that correct?
The second. So we did a song, Look at Us Now, and A$AP Ferg was on it.
Okay. Oh, that's right. He was on there.
Ferg was on that. But yeah, that also had like a pop singer. So this is definitely in a different realm where it's like strictly rap sing on it, right? Which we're so stoked about.
And I like the collection of features that you guys have on there. One of them is Lauren Gray, who's a brand new artist. As of 2018, she just released like her debut single. But what kind of made you want to work with her at such a young time of her career?
I was a big fan of her. I like her like following and what she's about. I think she looks amazing, and she like promotes a good energy about herself, and her voice is great. I mean, first and foremost, when we heard her voice, we were just like, we were dying hoping that she would cut the song. And she did an amazing job. And she's new. Like, we really talk all the time about getting new features because, a lot of DJs, I feel like they, have a round robin of features and we don't want to be in that mix. We want to always keep it fresh, keep it new. And, so having her on the song, having Social House, having, and then like I've always wanted to work with Wiz. I've been a big fan of Wiz since like Say Yeah, like way back, like big fan of Wiz. So like all that combination, and then like Lauren Aquilina singing on the other new song, and Norma obviously on When We Were Young, and Tove, and I feel like we just got we worked really hard to get all fresh features and new features that people haven't used yet, and that's why this is so special, and it feels really good to us. So we're excited.
See, that's part of the reason why I appreciate artists like yourselves a lot more lately, because you guys are, if it's not Spotify, it's you guys who help me discover new talent, new voices, especially in the female world. 2018, there was so much female voice discovery for me, at least that. It's crazy that you guys are still kind of continuing it with your EP. Now talking a little bit about Wiz, since he was the fanboy on this, what was it like working with Wiz? What was his experience like from your perspective?
Well, I think for both, it's just kind of like a surreal thing, to be like, oh yeah, we got Wiz on a record. That's why, it's wild because we've both been fans of him for so long. Right. And so I know, working every day and then getting him on the verse and finalizing it is like, oh my God, it's coming out. We got Wiz, and we love what he did, on the song. So it was a match. It was so good.
Right. I felt like DJ Khaled when we were waiting on those vocals. Did the Wiz vocals come in yet? Did the Social House vocals come in yet? Yo, that's what it felt like, bro. I was dying for that shit, but he killed it, man. He gave us this sing, just what he did. I was hoping that's what he would do, and I was stoked, man. I was so happy.
Yeah. Right. Social House too, that's another new group, Scooter's new group, I believe. Yeah. So how did you guys get connected with them, and what was it about them that made you guys want to work with them?
So we had the song, we had the demo, which was crazy. So when we wrote the when we were working on the demo, like, and the idea got sent to us, is actually sent from an idea of this dude John Ryan, who I went to Berkeley with in Boston, and I've always been a big fan of his voice, and like we were working on it, we were super excited about the song, and we were looking for people to send it out to, and Social House was on the list. We were obsessed with Magic in the Hamptons, and so our manager sent it over to Scooter, and like, yo, he said no to a lot of things to our manager, and that was the first thing that he said yes to. And Social House was like super excited to cut it, and they came back, and it was crazy because at first they cut just a verse, and so we had to tell them, no, we want you to cut the rest of the song. And so then they came back with the other verse and the hook and everything, and then it was like, all right, cool, now we're waiting on Wiz. But like having them on it, it's like we were just like so happy that like you have these new, we're up and comers. Social House is like these new out the gate up and comers, and then you have the veteran and Wiz who's been around, and it's just like the combination is just like mind blowing to me to be able to have that in a song. It's something we've been aiming for a long time, and to have that is like just gets me so jacked. I'm like ready to go, bro. I'm like so hype on it.
Well, it's even better because Wiz is one of those artists that, you know, doesn't have to release so much music throughout the year. And I mean, I don't think he's released that much in the last year either.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. So to like get him on our record is like just means that much more to us. And same with Social House. Like this is like the first feature that they have, and the first feature on like a, you know, a dancier song. So it's kind of crazy to blend those worlds all together and us be the first ones to do that, which is sick.
So for those that are not familiar, you know, what do you guys mean when you say cut the track?
So like I mean, that can mean a couple things. Like we're producing the record, and you know, we take pride in like producing our own music. You know, we've done that from the beginning, and we continue to do that. We take a lot of pride in that. And then cutting the track also means for like, you know, we had the song, we wanted Lauren's voice on it, and so she's gonna cut what we have, you know, what the original singer is like the demo singer is singing. She's gonna cut those words. If those words, it's got to resonate with that person though too. So like even for Social House and for, you know, Social House added more to the track. It's a little different with those guys. They got to add to it because they got to be a part of it. You know, it's like for us, you know, we get demos and ideas sent to us, but we got to feel a part of it in order to do it. We got to be behind it. We got to believe it. Like if I don't believe it, then I'm not going to do it. And so it's like same thing with Lauren and all these guys. Like they have to believe, and it has to resonate with them. You know, for Lauren to sing an anti-everything lyric, she has to want to embody that. And she's a young kid, and that's, I feel like, a very young mentality, and that, you know, our generation is experiencing right now. It's like, yo, we're, you know, very anti-everything, and everybody's on their own vibe, and I love that, and that's what the song is about, and she's got to embody that. So she had to hear that and be like, yo, I resonate with this, I relate to this, so I can sing it and I can believe it. And that's got to translate because people can see through that, you know? So yeah, she did a great job, Social House. They all resonated with those records, and it worked out. So
and that's a great thing you kind of mentioned, anti-everything, because, okay, so you write this track, and you're already thinking, like, these are the kind of artists I want in this track, or did you, so in a sense, like, did you specifically write it for Lauren? Is that how it kind of came out?
No, yo, it's really just about when you're in the writing process, about writing the best song that you know, you can. I mean, it's just like writing the best song that we can in the moment. And then after the fact, you kind of think about, oh, it's like, rare is it like, oh, I'm going to write a song specifically for this person, because then you kind of pigeon yourself in like what you may write, and it kind of puts you in some type of box. It's like when we produce music, I'm not thinking about, I'm going to make a hip hop track today, or I'm going to make a dance record today. I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about, yo, our goal is to set out this genre breaking mentality. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't like that mentality. I've never been about that mentality. It's like when people ask me what I like, it's like we're not aiming to do that. We're not, you know, aiming to write a song for a specific person. That's not why I got in this. I was producing music for other people before we did this. I'm looking to make the best song possible, just make whatever mood I'm in, because that changes daily. And then, yo, we think about that after, and it's like, oh, she may be good for this, or she may be good for this. And then it's a trial and error process. It's like when Zed was talking about the middle, you know, and all the girls that cut that song, you know, it's like you got to find the right fit. You know, they got to believe it, it's got to resonate, and they got to sound good on it. There's so many factors, and so that, you know, you got to find that right combination, and sometimes that is a very, very exhausting trial and error process.
Yeah, And that's why it takes so long to release a track, even though after the fact you guys had already created.
Yeah, there's so many things that go into putting out a track and like getting it to the point that we can actually put it out. So, you know, our friends are like have heard the song for a while, but we're like, yeah, there's so much more that goes into it than just being like, oh yeah, we're gonna put it up on SoundCloud. Right. You know, it's like it's such a process, but a process that's worth it because we were able to like make a body of work, which we always wanted to do, and so we just waited until we got everything ready so that we could put it out like all together.
Now, do you guys feel like you have already discovered what Lost King's sound is, or is that something that you guys are still kind of trying to figure out as you guys are creating music?
I kind of leave that up to everybody else to decide. I don't really think about that, because if I think about that, then I feel like it boxes myself in. You know, like when I'm creating, I don't really think about that, because that has always annoyed me as a producer, like, you know, and I just, when people are like, yo, you got to find your sound, you got to find your sound, I just think you got to be original, man. Yeah. Like, you know, it's easy to sound like other people. It's hard to be original. Right. And I think if you can be original, then people will dictate what they think your sound is, you know, and people will have an opinion about that, because everybody got an opinion about it. I don't really try to think about that. I just try to think about making a great record. Right. And if it sounds like something, if it sounds like this, you know, but as long as it's original, that's what I'm aiming for. Right. How can I do this differently than prior people did, you know, so I don't sound like anybody else? I'm trying to sound different, you know, so I don't, what that is and what people may think that is, then I leave that up to them, you know.
Right. Now, when you guys get into the studio and create music, like that chemistry between the two of you, like how different is it now compared to back in 2015 when you guys started collaborating?
You know, our workflow, I feel like, hasn't changed like from when we started. Yeah. You know, it's gotten like we've worked with more artists and more people have come into like the kitchen, but like our dynamic, like we've started off so solid, and I think we've just kind of grown off that, but nothing's really like changed drastically. We both have influence, you know, we bounce each other's like ideas off each other and work really well together, and I think like that's been like the recipe for success for us, is that we both bring a different dynamic into it that's, you know, from the get-go up until now has stayed solid for us.
Right. And, you know, with other artists, they bring a producer in to their, you know, to their music, to their recording sessions, because it helps them kind of have someone that is not a part of this project to do something different or, you know, challenge themselves in a way. You guys are kind of stuck with each other when you guys are creating music. So how do you guys kind of challenge yourselves when you guys are creating music?
Oh, man. I mean, I just try, I like choosing records that may not, or like, you know, going through, like, you know, we get sent, like I said, a lot of demos and stuff that are great, but I like the challenge of flipping something that people wouldn't think. Like when we did Phone Down, for instance, when that demo, like when Emily sent us that demo, it was very ballady, and it was like, yo, nobody would listen to that record and be like, yo, this is a DJ record. Right. You know, this could be put out by DJs. And it was up to us. It took me 5 months to flip that record into what I thought it could be. And, you know, it's like that to me is the best example of like a challenge and like consistently challenging yourself on those type of records. It's like I feel like I've been all across the spectrum on making music. Since I first started producing, I've done like every style, right. I feel like, at one point or another. And so I try to take that into account when we're making this music, that like my biggest challenge to myself is just like consistently trying to do things that would necessarily not look like predictable to everybody else, and saying that like, oh, this is an easy record to flip, or this is like, yo, this is an obvious one. No, let's take the not obvious one and let's make it into something that would people would be like, damn, yeah, damn, they made that obvious to me. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I just feel like that's a constant challenge, is doing things that is just wouldn't you know, people wouldn't expect, different genres and everything. Like we try to just consistently, I think that's what helps us stay motivated to be innovative. Right. Is like, you know, is flipping or doing genres and consistently going in different boxes and mixing different genres and things and different sounds on a daily basis just for fun. That makes it fun. That makes it like that for me creatively. It keeps me stimulated. Yeah. You know, so we kind of try to do that on a daily basis. You know, it's like, how can we do this? Like, you know, because we never sat down and make records for shows. You know, a lot of DJs, they have very specific music for their live show. Right. It's like you won't jam that in your car, but when you go to a festival, you want to hear that record. Right. So it's like I don't really ever think about that. just want to make something that people want to sing and people want to listen to on a daily basis in their daily lives.
Same for you, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, like, if we were doing the same record over and over again, and it's just us two, which it is all the time, it'd be such a monotonous process where it's just like, there's no creativity, you know, you just keep running the same formula. But doing different types of records, we get to come up with different ideas or what may sound good, and just that, like he said, it's like an ever stimulating process because we're not doing the same thing over and over again, so we can be as creative as we want. We can push the boundaries of what we want, and I think that's, you know, what makes the process so fun is that it's ever changing, and that's something that we've always preached is like we always want to just keep moving and pushing the limits so nobody can kind of put their finger on what we're going to do next. And I think that's like how we got to this EP. You know, it's like you even hear the songs, you're not going to expect like Anti Everything after Kill My High, and they're like, but it makes sense, but you wouldn't say, oh, that's the next song. So I think that's what makes it such a good dynamic.
Right. Now, and on top of that, you kind of mentioned like Phone Down, for example, took you 5 months to kind of like recreate and make it your own. In this EP in particular, Paper Crowns, was there a specific track that, you know, took you guys a while to kind of make it to what it is today? And if so, like what track was it, and what was it about the track that, you know, at the end of the day, you still wanted it to be completed?
It actually wasn't, none of them really were, when we were young on the Paper Crowns EP, we've had for a long time. Like, and it's just a timeless record. And it just was like a timing thing. Some records are not ready to come out when they're done. You know what I mean? Like everything has a time and a place.
Which I feel is hard. As an artist, I feel it's hard to put that down, knowing that, you know, shit, this is a crazy track. Like,
it wasn't until I made a track for another song, and I was like, yo, this track actually would work on When We Were Young, because it was just sitting. I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, yo, this is too epic of a record, and I just haven't found the track yet. I just haven't found the sounds yet. And it was like, yo, let's put this vocal over this track, and let's see if it works. And it worked. And I was like, yo, this is it. And that song had been 2 years in the waiting. Like, it'd been a long time. Like, and it wasn't like a 2 years like work. I mean, I'd worked on a couple versions of it, but I got to a point where I was like, I got to step away, man. Like, it's not inspiring to me right now. So if it's not inspiring, then I'm not itching to work on it. But a lot of the records, the longest process has been, I think, and the difference between when we first started versus now is there is a lot of people that it's got to go through now. You know, you have a lot of team members, and it's a lot of, you know, when you get features on songs, it's just a lot of back and forth. You know, it's like it's a lot of back.
But that's already out of your hands. Like that's already from you know.
Yeah, but like as far as making the record, it's like, yo, if I'm in the zone and like it doesn't take too long, you know, it's just like it's got to come out of you. I'm a big believer in your first idea is usually your best idea.
That's the true emotion. That's what it is.
Yeah, if sometimes it's not. I mean, not everything is like that by no means. Phone Down, for instance, but like, you know, some of them like are a lot of the time I feel like your first idea is your best idea, and a lot of these like Don't Kill My High, I did pretty quickly. Anti Everything was pretty quick. Just we had co-written that with a couple different people, and so it was like the process of making everybody happy was like, you know, it took a little while. It took probably longer than how I actually made the record. But yeah, When We Were Young was a long process. Stuck was a very quick process. That took me like 24 hours. I was just like in a zone. I mean, like, yo, Drunk as Hell, that was another one. That was a vibe. That was like a record I had been wanting to work on for a while. Like that style, and like that one didn't take long. It was really just like I kind of have a flow now. Like they're all different records, so they were all like we were talking about earlier. They're all very like, it gives me a chance to be challenged. So when I'm challenged, I'm inspired. That's how I've always been. If I'm not challenged, then I lose interest. Right. So
now in 2018, you guys introduced me to an artist that you guys collaborated with in 2015, Katelyn Tarver.
Oh yeah.
And you know, like that at the time, like that was a fresh new voice back in 2015. What was that collaboration like with her, and why her?
It was actually great. It was like one of the first second original that we put out. It was like off the first EP, and we had this idea that got sent to us from this girl Nightly, and we loved the idea. It was pretty much all melody based, so we we're doing a session with Katelyn, and then we got that idea, and we're like, oh, Katelyn, what if we wrote around these melodies? Because the melodies are so sick, I think we could come up with something. And so we had Knightley come over and Katelyn, and we wrote You in like 24 hours, and then yeah, it was a quick process, but she was great. Like, she was so easy to work with, so nice, and it like set up, like, you know, that was one of the more successful songs that we've had in 2015. A lot of people loved that song, so it set us up for you know, things to come. So it was a great process.
Right. And it goes back to what you said earlier, that it's like sometimes you have timeless music, because again, that was 2015, and I just heard it, you know, 2018, and it still feels like a new record. Like, so in creating timeless music, do you feel like that's a challenge in itself?
It is. I mean, I've told people from the jump, man, is what always drives me is like what has made music timeless. And it's like when you listen to Michael Jackson, when you listen to Marvin Gaye, when you listen to like all these guys that I still like, people still jam to this day. It still fascinates me to no end how people like can put on those records and still feel the same when they were put out back when they were. Like, that to me is like everything, and I think that gets missed in a lot of music right now, and there's a lot of trash because people are just like in the moment, this is hot, let me put this out, and then it's like gone. And it's like, how can I make a song that, you know, is gonna stand the test of time? People hear that 3-4 years later, 5 years later, 10 years later, and they're like, this is still a good song, you know? Like, I want to hear people say that. Like, that's my goal. Like, that's, since I started making music, like, that's using sounds. Like, it's a hard thing to do, writing and producing. I mean, it's like it takes both accounts. It's like how can you produce something that these sounds, because like sounds constantly change. It's like bells and whistles, they constantly change. That's why I think the whole genre mentality is just like needs to be dropped. It's just like, let's not think about that. It's like what's good music, you know, the sounds are always going to change. And like with writing music, it's like that's the biggest goal, man. How can you make timeless music, not a song that's like hot for the moment and people are like, oh yeah, damn, it's like wearing clothes, you know, because I get inspired too by like, we're big fashion guy. Like, I love like a lot of the, like, I just love clothes. I love, like, that's another hobby of mine, or like passion of mine. I think it's the same thing. It's like, why were we wearing Jinko jeans in 2000? You know what I mean? Like, you look back at that and you're like, I will never wear them again. You know, it's like, I don't want to look back at music like that. Right. Like, man, why were we using those sounds in 2005? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's like the most comparable I can make it. I mean, so I try to think about that when we're making music, you know?
Nice. Now that the EP just dropped, this is the debut EP for RCA Records, which, again, congratulations with that major label signing, because I feel like it's so hard nowadays for, you know, labels to find music, because there's so much music out there. So you guys obviously like stick out. But, you know, now that the EP is out, next week you guys are going on your first ever headline tour. And it's funny because we were talking about this before the interview, that it's like all towards the end of 2018, like all you guys kept talking about was this tour. But there was no mention of an EP. So now that, you know, this surprise is out for the fans, tell me a little bit about the tour and like what can fans expect starting next week?
It's going to be, so this is the first time we get to do like a venue tour. And, you know, a lot of our fans are under the age of 21, but all we've played pretty much is nightclubs. So we haven't been able to play shows for the majority of our fans. And we have been working towards finally getting to let all our fans come, because we always get hit up being like, oh, I'd love to go, but I can't. Right. And it's something that we've always wanted to do, and put on like the most Lost Kings type of show for our fans, to have everybody come sing, like have the energy be right. Because so much about like the nightclub is like, oh, are you buying bottles? Are you doing this? Right. 50% of the people are focused on the show, and then 50% are doing something else. Right. And we've always wanted to do a show where people are there just for the music. They're not stumbling in randomly, you know, like, so this tour is finally something that we really wanted to do, and it is happening. And we had been planning the EP coming out around the tour, you know, so people get even more excited, but we just kept that on the hush. But yeah, this is something that has been a big goal for us. And to, like, you know, in LA where we're from, we get to play like El Rey, which is like down the street from us. Right. Get to walk there. It's like, it's kind of crazy and a big goal, and, you know, we get to check that off the list.
That's going to be sick. I can't wait for that. And again, congratulations with RCA and congratulations with Paper Crowns. You guys be sure to check out the new EP if you haven't already. This is Lost Kings with Rob hanging out on Front Row Live.